What if I told you that the way most men approach relationships today is completely wrong? What if I told you that by following a few simple principles, you could not only save yourself years of heartbreak, but also find true power and respect in your relationships? In this video, I'm about to reveal 9 rules from Stoic philosophy that smart men should live by when dealing with women. These are not feel-good, fluffy tips. They are hard-hitting truths that most men will never hear, and if you master them, you'll completely transform the way women see you and the way you see yourself. We live in a world where dating and relationships are becoming more complicated than ever. Social media, dating apps, and unrealistic expectations have distorted what love should really be about. But here's the deal. As a man, you need to know how to navigate this. You need to know how to protect your time, your energy, and your mental health in a world that doesn't care about it. Stoicism teaches us that there are a few rules you must follow if you want to maintain your dignity and sanity in relationships. These rules are so powerful, and they've been working for thousands of years. They're not just for men who want to get better with women, they're for men who want to master their own lives. If you're tired of toxic relationships, endless drama, and feeling like you're constantly being taken advantage of, then this video is for you. Let's break it down. Number 1. Guard your past. Never reveal too much about your past too soon. In today's age of oversharing, this might sound counterintuitive, but it's critical for protecting your own interests. Here's the truth. When you meet a woman, especially if you're serious about building something long-term, you must be selective about what parts of your past you share. Why? Because not everything needs to be said. Your past is yours, and while some things might seem insignificant, they can later be used against you in moments of conflict or manipulation. You must be able to understand what you're doing. They can later be used against you in moments of conflict or manipulation. For example, imagine you've had a messy breakup in the past, and you casually mention it early on in a relationship. Suddenly, during an argument, it's thrown back in your face. You've just given her the ammunition. The same goes for family issues, financial troubles, or personal failures. While you should be honest, there's a difference between honesty and full transparency. Stoicism teaches us to keep certain parts of our past guarded, not out of shame, but out of wisdom. You don't owe your life story to anyone, especially not in the early stages of dating. When it comes to sharing your past, less is more. Share what's necessary, but keep your private struggles private until trust is built. Your past is your story, not a tool for others to judge or manipulate you. As you build trust with someone, you can slowly reveal more, but never all at once. Imagine you're on a first date. Instead of detailing every ex-girlfriend or past hardship, focus on who you are now, what drives you, what you're passionate about, and what you're looking for in the future. Women respect men who maintain an air of mystery and self-respect by guarding their past. Number 2. Face the fear of being alone. Let's talk about something most men won't admit. They're terrified of being alone, not just physically but emotionally. They fear the silence, the empty space, the idea of waking up and not having anyone to text, to hold, to validate their existence. And that fear, it makes them weak. It makes them stay in situations that drain their masculinity. It turns strong men into passive observers of their own lives. Here's the truth. If you don't face the fear of being alone, you will always be someone's option, never the man who chooses. Think about it. How many men do you know who stay in relationships that no longer serve them? How many compromise on their values, dreams, or purpose just because the idea of going home to an empty bed feels unbearable? The fear of solitude has destroyed more potential than any heartbreak ever has. Let me be real with you. A woman can sense when you're afraid of losing her. And when she does, the dynamic shifts. She holds the power. You become reactive. You start chasing, pleasing, shrinking, not because she's manipulative, but because you've given up the one thing she's biologically wired to desire: your grounded presence. Stoicism teaches this beautifully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." A Stoic man isn't afraid of solitude. He welcomes it, because in solitude, he sharpens. In solitude, he listens not to noise, but to truth. He doesn't run from himself. He sits with himself. You can't lead in a relationship if you don't know how to lead yourself when no one is watching. Let me give you a real story. Jake, 39, divorced, 2 kids, fell into a pattern of dating women who made him feel seen, but only temporarily. He hated the quiet weekends when the kids were gone, so he jumped from one situationship to another, always texting, always calling, always trying to fill the silence. Then one day, after a messy fallout, he decided to stop. He turned off the noise. No apps, no dating, just space, just him. He started journaling every morning, hiking alone, reading Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, even Nietzsche. At first, it sucked. The loneliness was sharp, but after a few weeks, something shifted. He stopped needing attention. He started respecting himself more. And women? They noticed. His energy changed. He wasn't seeking anymore. He was choosing. That's the transformation that happens when you stop fearing the quiet. You realize it's not empty. It's where the strongest parts of you are built. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about rejecting relationships or being cold. It's about building a foundation so strong you don't depend on another person to feel whole. When you stop fearing being alone, you stop tolerating disrespect. You stop chasing emotionally unavailable women. You stop explaining your worth. You stand. You hold frame. You walk away when your peace is disturbed, not as a threat, but as a standard. That's what makes you unforgettable. That's what separates you from every other guy begging for attention. So here's what I want you to do. If you're in a relationship that's built on fear of loss, pause. Check your intentions. Are you leading? Or are you staying because you're afraid of the silence? If you're single and scared of the quiet, lean into it. Go for a solo walk. Sit at a cafe without your phone. Write down the thoughts you avoid. Train yourself to be comfortable in your own energy. Because when a woman meets a man who doesn't fear being alone, she leans in. Not because he needs her, but because his presence pulls her. Comment below. I embrace solitude if you know your power begins in silence. And if you think that's where your power ends, you're wrong. Because in the next chapter, we're going to talk about something most men waste without even realizing it. Stay sharp. Number 3, manage your time wisely. There's one thing every man has in equal supply: time. No matter who you are, where you come from, or how much money you make, you get the same 24 hours. But here's where strong men stand apart. They treat time like a currency that can't be refunded. Once you spend it, it's gone. So the question is, who or what are you spending it on? Most men don't ask themselves this. They just give their time away. To women who don't respect them. To conversations that lead nowhere. To habits that keep them stuck. And slowly, they lose their edge. Let me tell you something real. A woman will test how much you value your time not because she's malicious, but because she's wired to look for leadership. If you're always available, if you drop everything to reply to her text, if you cancel your plans every time she calls, you're not showing love. You're showing that your life is bendable. And no woman truly respects a man who has no boundaries around his schedule. Stoicism teaches us this through discipline. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that truth hits harder in relationships than anywhere else. Here's how it usually plays out. You meet someone. She's attractive. You're intrigued. You start texting every day. You start calling. You start staying up late to talk. You skip workouts. You delay your goals. You shift your routine to fit hers. And before you know it, she's no longer chasing you, because there's nothing left to chase. You gave her all your time before she earned it. A high-value man doesn't move that way. He doesn't disappear, but he makes it clear his time is earned, not expected. Let me give you an example. Andre, 42, business owner, started dating again after 10 years of building his company. He told himself he'd stay focused, but he slipped. Started seeing a woman half his age. She was fun, exciting, and loved the attention. Within 2 weeks, he was rearranging meetings just to see her. She didn't even ask. He offered. She started replying slower, started rescheduling on him. One night, after she ghosted him for dinner, he sat in his car and realized something. He was no longer the man he built himself to be. He had become available. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who's too accessible. So he pulled back, not out of revenge, out of alignment. He started honoring his routine again. Gym at 6 a.m., strategy sessions by 9, phone on do not disturb during deep work hours. And guess what? She came back, curious, interested, and more respectful, because she could feel that his time was valuable again. That's how you manage time wisely as a man, not with calendars or reminders, but with standards. You schedule her around your life, not your life around her attention. It's not about being cold, it's about being centered. And the truth is, if she's really interested in you, she'll want to fit into your frame, not bend you into hers. Here's a challenge for you. Audit your time, right now. Where's it going? Are you losing hours waiting on replies? Are you giving away nights to drama-filled conversations? Are you building your mission or orbiting hers? Because how you spend your time tells the world who you are. Comment below. I protect my time if you're done offering your hours to what doesn't build you. And if you think this was about minutes and schedules, you've missed the bigger truth. The next chapter reveals something even more dangerous to waste than time. Stay alert. Number 4. Celebrate your achievements. Let's get one thing straight. You don't need her applause to validate your progress. And if you're waiting on it, you're already behind. Most men never learn this. They achieve something, land a deal, hit a goal, level up, and the first thing they do, rush to share it with her. They crave that, "I'm proud of you," like it's the final stamp of success. But here's what Stoicism teaches. You're responsible for recognizing your own worth. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." So, if you believe your success only matters when it's acknowledged by others, you've already given away your power. A grounded man celebrates silently, deeply, intentionally. He doesn't need confetti. He doesn't need Instagram likes. He doesn't even need her admiration, because he already respects himself. Let's talk about why this matters. When you make her the mirror for your pride, you become emotionally dependent. You tie your internal wins to her external reactions. And that's dangerous, because not every woman will cheer for you. Some will downplay your progress, some will feel threatened by your momentum, and some will use your success as leverage against you. So what do you do instead? You become the kind of man who can look in the mirror and say, "I did that," not out of arrogance, but out of recognition. You sit with the work you've put in. You remember who you were 6 months ago. You own the hours nobody saw. You take a deep breath, smile to yourself, and keep building. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being self-led. You want her to respect you. Let her see that your pride is internal, not performative. Let me give you an example. Daniel, 35, former high school teacher turned business owner. He built a 6-figure consulting brand in under 2 years. His girlfriend at the time barely acknowledged it. No congrats, no celebration dinner, not even a "you did good." And that crushed him at first. He started doubting himself, felt like maybe it wasn't enough. But then he realized something powerful. He had been outsourcing his pride. So he shifted, started tracking his milestones privately, bought himself a small watch to mark the first $100K, took a solo trip when he crossed 500K, not to flex, not to escape, but to honor himself. That shift made him calmer, more decisive, more centered. And ironically, women noticed, because confidence built from within is magnetic. It's not loud, it's not needy, it just is. So here's what you need to do. Start recognizing your own wins, big or small. Got up early and trained before sunrise, that's a win. Handled a tough conversation like a man, that's a win. Said no to something that once pulled you off track, that's growth. Celebrate it. And when you do share it with someone, don't share for praise. Share to inspire. Share because it's part of who you are, not because you need a pat on the back. Here's the truth most men forget. She doesn't fall in love with your accomplishments. She falls for how you carry them. If your success makes you more grounded, more calm, more focused, she'll feel it. But if it makes you chase approval, seek validation, and crave attention, you lose that edge. So build your own scoreboard. Keep your own journal. Buy yourself something meaningful when you win, not flashy, but significant. Mark the moment. Own it. Because when a man can clap for himself, he becomes untouchable. Comment below. I honor my wins if you're done waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough. And if you think celebrating is selfish, you haven't learned the deeper truth about what makes a man powerful. Stick around, what comes next might surprise you. Number 5. Safeguard your mental health. Let's be brutally honest, no one's coming to save your mind but you. You can be physically strong. You can have money, status, charm. But if your mind's a mess, none of that matters. And when it comes to relationships, especially with women, this truth hits even harder. Too many men sacrifice their mental health to keep a woman interested, to keep the relationship alive, to avoid conflict, to not be too much. They shrink themselves mentally and emotionally until they're barely recognizable. All because they never drew the line between self-sacrifice and self-destruction. Let me tell you something clear. No relationship is worth losing your peace. When you're constantly overthinking, when you walk on eggshells, when you're anxious every time her name pops up on your screen, that's not love. That's trauma with a pretty face. You were not born to serve emotional chaos. You were born to lead with clarity, focus, and inner calm. Stoicism teaches us this through practice. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That power begins when you protect your mental space like it's sacred, because it is. Let me paint a real-life picture. Eric, 31, hardworking guy, disciplined, went from minimum wage to a 6-figure job in 4 years. But he had a blind spot. He ignored red flags in women. Every time he dated someone new, he gave the benefit of the doubt. Let things slide. She'd flake on him, gaslight him, use emotional guilt to control his decisions. And he'd keep going back, thinking if he just loved harder, it would fix itself. But over time, his anxiety spiked. He lost sleep, skipped workouts, started dreading weekends instead of enjoying them. He looked fine on the outside, but inside, he was spiraling, until one day, he snapped, not in rage, in clarity. He realized, I can't keep paying with my sanity for someone else's instability. He blocked her. No drama, no revenge, just distance. He started journaling again, went to therapy not because he was weak, but because he was smart. He rebuilt from the inside out. And guess what? He's never been sharper. Your mental health isn't optional. It's mission critical. A man who doesn't protect his peace will bleed it onto every area of life. Business, friendships, family, all of it suffers. So how do you safeguard your mind? Start with this. Audit your inputs. What kind of conversations are you having? Are they uplifting or draining? Are you surrounded by chaos disguised as passion? Set non-negotiables. If she disrespects you, that's a hard stop. If she manipulates you with silence, games, or jealousy, you step back. You don't explain your standards. You live by them. Create space. Every day, no screens, no noisy. Just 15-30 minutes of breathing room. Think, reflect, decompress. Train yourself to be your own sanctuary. Because here's the twist most guys miss. A man who safeguards his mental health becomes 10x more attractive. Not because he's perfect, but because he's centered. And in a world of distracted, emotionally unstable men, that stands out. When you prioritize your peace, you stop chasing drama. You stop tolerating confusion. You don't beg for explanations. You don't argue for clarity. You just exit. That's strength. That's stoic. So, don't let anyone, no matter how beautiful or charming, hijack your emotional state. You're not cold for choosing calm. You're not heartless for choosing space. You're not rude for protecting your energy. You're just a man who understands this. If your mind isn't right, nothing else works. Comment below. I protect my peace if you're done trading clarity for chaos. And if you think peace means weakness, just wait until you see how dangerous calm can be. Keep going. Number 6. Be true to yourself. Let's strip away the noise for a second. At the end of the day, there's only one person you can't lie to. The man staring back at you in the mirror. Most guys spend so much time performing confidence, performing ambition, performing affection. They show up to impress her. They say what they think she wants to hear. They adjust their opinions, suppress their values, even pretend to like things they don't, just to keep the vibe right. No. But here's the catch. You can't fake it forever. Eventually, the mask slips. And when it does, she realizes the man she was drawn to was a front, not a foundation. That's when attraction dies. Being true to yourself isn't just some feel-good quote. It's your anchor, your code, your compass when everything else feels unstable. Stoicism is rooted in this principle. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that a life in harmony with reason and virtue is the only true path to happiness. Not convenience, not approval, virtue. So let's talk real. What does being true to yourself actually look like? It looks like standing by your values even when it's uncomfortable. It looks like saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. It looks like not chasing validation even if it means being misunderstood. It's in the details. You say you don't to casual drama, then don't entertain it just because she's hot. You say you value peace, then don't get sucked into arguments just to prove a point. You say you're a builder, then don't abandon your mission every time she texts, "Come over." Too many men betray themselves in subtle ways. One compromise here, one boundary dropped there, and before they know it, they're off course. Disconnected, confused, resentful. That's not her fault. That's yours. A man who lives out of alignment can never lead with power, because deep down, he knows he's lying to himself. Let me give you an example. Mike, 29, fitness coach, had a solid routine, iron discipline, and real confidence. Then he met her. She was wild, spontaneous, unpredictable. At first, it was exciting. She pulled him into late nights, last-minute trips, impulsive choices. He started skipping workouts, missing client calls, justifying things to himself. She's just different. She needs someone stable. I can handle it. But months in, he was drained. He didn't recognize himself. And she pulled away. Not because he was boring, but because the version of him she first met, the disciplined, grounded, mission-first man, was gone. That was the wake-up call. Mike went back to center. Not bitter, not broken, just back. He realized that true connection only happens when you're fully yourself, not a watered-down version made for someone else's comfort. Here's what I want you to understand. Women don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be real. When you're honest about who you are, what you want, what you don't tolerate, you repel the wrong ones and attract the ones who actually match your path. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to defend your truth. You just have to live it. And if she can't meet you there, let her go. Because the man who's true to himself may lose a few short-term sparks, but he gains long-term fire. So let me challenge you. Look at your life right now. Where are you not being real? Where are you adjusting to keep her comfortable? Where are you betraying your own code just to avoid conflict? Fix it. Not for here. For you. Comment below. I live by my truth if you're done shape-shifting to fit someone else's idea of you. And if you think that honesty won't get you further, wait until you see what happens when you stop apologizing for who you are. It gets better from here. Number 7. Don't sacrifice your path for others. Let's get brutally clear. If you give up your path for her, for anyone, you will regret it. Not today, not tomorrow, but months down the line when you look in the mirror and can't recognize the man staring back at you. When you wake up in a life that feels like someone else's design, not yours. That's what happens to men who abandon their mission to make it work. And you know what? It never works. In the early stages, it looks harmless. She wants a little more time. You shift your schedule. She wants to move somewhere else. You press pause on your plans. She doesn't like how much you work. So you slow down. You tell yourself, it's love, it's compromise. But it's not. It's self-abandonment, disguised as romance. Because here's the hard truth. The second you start editing your purpose to fit her comfort, you stop being the man she respected in the first place. Stoicism teaches that the only thing fully in your control is how you direct your will. Marcus Aurelius called it living according to nature, which means fulfilling your design as a man. Not as a people pleaser, not as an emotional support system, but as a force. That force gets dull every time you choose her wants over your purpose. Let me give you a real example. Chris, late 30s, former athlete turned entrepreneur. He had a clear vision. Start a coaching platform, launch a podcast, build a brand around helping young men stay focused. He was making progress. Slow, steady, real. Then he met her. She was beautiful, charming, supportive at first. But as things got more serious, the comments started. You're always working. Why can't we just relax sometimes? Do you really need to post so much content? Instead of standing firm, he bent. One adjustment here, one delay there, until eventually his momentum was gone. His message faded, and he found himself chasing her attention instead of his dream. The irony, she lost interest. Why? Because the man who had a fire became a man who had none. And no one, not even the woman who asked for it, respects a man who dims his light for someone else. Chris learned the hard way. Now, he's back on the path. Tighter circle, stronger mission. And a rule: if she doesn't support the mission, she doesn't get access to the man. You need that rule too. Your path is your purpose. It's the trail only you can walk, the business you build, the art you create, the strength you forge, the impact you leave. If you give that up for anyone, you're handing away the very thing that makes you masculine, your direction. And hear me loud on this. A woman who's truly aligned with you won't ask you to slow down. She won't pull you off course. She'll either walk beside you or watch you walk away. That's how you filter. So what do? You double down on your vision. You get even clearer about what you're here to build. You make your calendar match your mission. You don't rearrange your life for someone you just met. You don't compromise your long-term legacy for short-term comfort. You lead with conviction. You speak with purpose. You let your actions show. This is where I'm going. If you can keep up, let's go. If not, I'll see you from the top. Comment below. I stay on my path if you're done shrinking to fit into someone else's life. And if you think holding your ground will make you lose people, you're right, but the ones you lose weren't meant to walk with you anyway. What comes next will prove that. Keep going. Number 8. Prioritize relationships with friends and family. Let's make something clear. Romantic attraction fades. It's meant to. That initial rush, the butterflies, the obsession, it doesn't last forever. But the relationships you build with your brothers, your family, the people who truly ride for you, that's your real anchor. Too many men go all in on one woman and cut off everything else. Guys cancel on their friends, stop calling their brothers, go MIA on their parents, all because she needs more time. She wants to be your everything. And you fall for it. But here's the Stoic reality. Your life is not meant to orbit one person. You are a man. You were designed to build, lead, and belong to a network. When you isolate yourself to feed one relationship, you weaken your foundation. Marcus Aurelius said, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." Cutting off your support system to please one person, that's losing your self-respect. Let's break it down. Your friends keep you grounded. They remind you who you were before the romance. They call you out when you slip. They lift you up when you're low, not because they want something from you, but because they've been there. Your family gives you history, roots, identity. They remind you that you didn't start from her, and you won't end with her either. I've seen too many men give it all up. The guy who stopped showing up to guys' night. The one who disappears from Sunday dinners. The one who only replies when she's busy and he's bored. And then when the relationship falls apart, he realizes he's got no one left, because he made one person his world and forgot the world he already had. Let me give you a story. Jason, age 33, software engineer, had 3 close friends since college. Weekly basketball games, camping trips, guys who'd show up at 2 a.m. if he needed them. Then came the girlfriend. She didn't like his friends, said they were childish, said she didn't feel safe around them. So he slowly faded, skipped games, made excuses, stopped answering calls. Eventually, they stopped reaching out, not because they stopped caring, but because they were tired of being an option. Fast forward 2 years. She left. Out of nowhere, he spiraled, called the same guys. Only one picked up. That was the wake-up. Now, he's rebuilding, but it's harder than it should have been. All because he forgot this truth. You never sacrifice long-term loyalty for short-term lust. So how do you make sure this doesn't happen? Simple. Make time. Put it on your calendar. Check in with your people. Not just when you need them, but when they need you. Set boundaries. Tell her up front, my family matters, my friends matter, they're part of who I am. If she's secure, she'll respect it. If she's not, now you know what you're dealing with. Show up, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's easier to stay in bed with her. Brotherhood isn't built on comfort, it's built on consistency. Because one day, you'll need those men. You'll need that family. You'll need someone to remind you of your worth when the relationship fog rolls in. And trust me, if you've been a good brother, a good son, a good friend, they'll be there. But only if you never forgot them to begin with. Comment below. I don't trade loyalty for lust if you're ready to protect what truly matters. And if you think she'll stick around just because you made her the center of your world, wait until you see how fast that world collapses when she walks out. Keep watching. This matters. Number 9. Avoid obsessive devotion. There's a line most men don't see until they've already crossed it. And by then, it's too late. It starts as admiration. It feels like connection. But before you know it, you're orbiting her. Your thoughts, your time, your identity, all revolving around her approval. And that, my friend, is the beginning of your undoing. Obsessive devotion isn't love. It's self-erasure. It's the slow replacement of your purpose with her presence. It's a fantasy you've built in your head that has nothing to do with reality and everything to do with insecurity. Stoicism cuts through this illusion. Epictetus said, "Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do." Translation: don't lose your mind chasing someone else's validation. Attach yourself to virtue, not a person, to reason, not emotion. When a woman senses obsession, she doesn't feel more special. She feels the pressure. She sees the imbalance. She starts pulling away, not because she's cruel, but because deep down, no one wants to be someone's entire world. Let me show you how this happens. You wake up. You check if she texted. No message. Now your whole mood shifts. You start your day. But your thoughts aren't on your goals, your work, your mission. They're on her. You wonder if she's busy. You check her socials. You replay conversations, trying to decode her tone. You overanalyze a delay in reply, like it's a clue in some emotional crime scene. That's not leadership. That's not masculine strength. That's dependence. And women can feel it before you even say a word. Let's bring this home with a story. Nick, Arshaba, started dating a woman he was head over heels for. She was the most beautiful girl he'd ever been with. He felt lucky. Too lucky. So he started overgiving, overtexting, always available, always just checking in. Sheepling. At first, she liked the attention. Then it got heavy. Then it got clingy. Then it got unattractive. She pulled back. He panicked. And the more he chased, the more she ran. Why? Because when a man devotes himself obsessively, he loses all mystery, all gravity, all leadership. He becomes predictable. And in romance, predictability kills desire. Here's what you need to understand. Healthy love is rooted in freedom, not obsession. When you obsess, you stop seeing her clearly. You ignore red flags. You tolerate disrespect. You abandon yourself just to maintain the connection. And worst of all, you stop growing. Because all your energy is spent preserving a fantasy instead of pursuing your purpose. So what do? First, you audit your attention. Where is your energy going? How often are you thinking about her versus thinking about your goals? Second, you create space. You stop replying instantly. You take hours, not minutes, to respond. Not out of pettiness, but out of balance. Third, you build elsewhere. More time with your craft. More time in the gym. More time with your brothers. More time reading, building, leading. Because a man who is full of himself in the best way has no room for obsession. He can love fully without losing himself. He can give affection without needing control. He can care without collapsing. Comment below. I stay grounded in purpose if you're done trading your peace for her attention. And if you think obsession proves love, wait until you see what happens when you finally take your power back. There's more ahead. Don't blink. Number 10. Build a life she wants to be part of, not the other way around. Let's flip the script. Most men spend their lives trying to fit into a woman's world. They study what she likes, change how they dress, shift their goals, shape themselves to be chosen. But here's the truth Stoicism reminds us over and over again. The man must never orbit the woman. The woman chooses to orbit the man's mission. Your job as a man is not to be liked. It's not to be perfect. It's not even to be needed. Your job is to build. Build a vision. Build values. Build discipline. Build something worth joining. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. That's what masculine energy does. It moves forward. And when a woman feels that movement, the direction, the certainty, the gravity, she decides whether she can match it. Not whether she can lead it. Not whether she can control it. Whether she can walk with it. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean being a cold, emotionally unavailable robot. It means having a spine, a core, A life that does not bend for whoever happens to be beautiful that week. Because a man without direction is a man easy to detour. And women, even when they won't say it out loud, will always test that. She'll challenge your boundaries. She'll push your time. She'll poke at your purpose, not out of cruelty, but instinct. She wants to know, can he hold his ground? Is he solid, even when I'm emotional? Can I trust this man's leadership when the storm hits? And if the answer is no, she might stay a while, but she won't respect you. And without respect, there is no desire, no depth, no longevity. Let me give you a real-world breakdown. Dan Sanchawu, successful real estate developer. Smart, fit, clear goals. Then he met her. She was fun, magnetic, a little chaotic but intoxicating. At first, he stuck to his schedule. Mornings in the gym, afternoons on the job site, evenings reading and refining deals. But she started complaining. You're always working. I feel like I'm not a priority. Why don't we just be spontaneous? So he adjusted. He skipped workouts, postponed meetings, pulled back from his team. The relationship got easier for a while, but one day she looked at him differently. Less admiration, more boredom, less désir, more detachment. Why? Because the man she admired, the builder, the fire, the discipline, had faded. She didn't want to lead his life. She wanted to be pulled into something bigger than herself. When that disappeared, so did her respect. Dan learned. He rebuilt, reinstated boundaries, re-established discipline, not out of spite, but self-respect. And months later, a new woman walked into his life. One who respected the mission. One who didn't want to change his rhythm, she wanted to dance with it. This is what every man must understand. A woman doesn't want to be your life. She wants to be part of the life you've already built. If you've got nothing going for you, no challenge, no mission, no values, you become her project, her fixer-upper, her entertainment. But when you've got a fire inside you, a code you live by, a structure you don't compromise, a purpose you chase harder than her, you become magnetic, not to every woman, but to the right one. The one who isn't afraid of strength. The one who doesn't want a man she can mold, but a man she can follow. So here's your job. Build your world first. And I don't mean money and cars. I mean mindset. I mean emotional control. I mean leadership, integrity, calm under pressure. Build a routine so tight it makes chaos uncomfortable. Build standards so high they filter people for you. Build habits that sharpen you like steel. Then, and only then, invite her in. Not to run it, not to shift it, but to experience it. Because a woman will fall for the life you live, not the lies you tell. Comment below. I build first if you're done shrinking to fit and ready to stand as a man she respects. And if you think building your own world means you'll be alone longer, you're right. But that solitude will shape you into someone unforgettable. And when she finally shows up, she'll know she's walking into the presence of a man who doesn't need her, but chose her anyway. If you made it to this point, you're not like most men. Most guys hear this kind of message and scroll past it. You stayed. You listened. Now, it's time to act. Subscribe to the channel not for entertainment, but for evolution. This is where modern men sharpen their edge. Daily. And if you're ready to go beyond just watching, if you want to walk this path with intensity, clarity, and discipline, join the Stoic Brotherhood. Inside, we go deeper. We train harder. We hold each other to the standard no one else dares speak out loud. Thank you for watching. Keep building, keep leading, and I'll see you same time tomorrow.